National Geographic.
Hello and welcome. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran.
And I'm Sakal Bhatt.
And you're watching a special broadcast here on DD India on India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Nigeria.
That's right, Ramesh. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Nigeria as we speak. And it's an Indian Prime Minister's first visit to the West African country in 17 years.
Indeed, and Prime Minister Modi reached Abuja on Sunday on the first leg of his three-nation tour of the Global South, Nigeria, Brazil and Guyana.
Absolutely. And Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said on social media platform X, and I quote, that he will seek to expand the strategic partnership between Nigeria and India and also enhance cooperation in these critical sectors. That's what we are going to talk about.
Right, we'll also be getting the ground reports from our correspondent in Abuja, and also we'll be joined by guests who will put the visit in its proper context for you, the viewer.
So let's begin. All right, so this visit, as we just mentioned, is the first minister of an Indian, first visit of an Indian Prime Minister taking place after 17 years. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Abuja, in Nigeria, on the first leg of the three-nation visit. As we just mentioned, that this visit is important, it's significant, this being the first by an Indian Prime Minister to Nigeria coming after the gap of long 17 years. Ramesh.
Indeed. Now, the Prime Minister arrived to an enthusiastic crowd that received him with a grand welcome. He was warmly welcomed by Nyesom Ezenvo White, Minister for Federal Capital Territory, upon his arrival in Abuja early Sunday local time. He presented the Prime Minister with the key to the city of Abuja.
And this key symbolizes the trust and honor bestowed on the Prime Minister by the people of Nigeria. And on your screens, warm welcome put forth by the Indian Diaspora in Nigeria. In fact, the Marathi community, Ramesh, in Nigeria has also thanked Prime Minister Modi for according classical language status to Marathi there. A traditional Lavani dance was performed in front of Prime Minister Modi.
Absolutely. A youth who scaled the Mount Kilimanjaro with a photograph of Prime Minister also met him. The Indian diaspora was buzzing with excitement upon the arrival of the Prime Minister.
Yes, and staying with the diaspora, several members of the diaspora were seen holding Indian tricolour and chanting Bharat Mata Ki Jai with palpable excitement and fervour. Prime Minister Modi will be holding talks with Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at Abuja later today. We're going to keep track on those developments there. And Prime Minister Modi and President Tinubu will also review the broader gamut of strategic partnership between the two countries and also discuss avenues to enhance the bilateral relationship.
The Prime Minister will also address the Indian diaspora in the city. From Nigeria, he'll travel then to Brazil for the G20 summit.
And as we just told our viewers that Prime Minister Modi was given a rousing reception. We saw those visuals also on his arrival in Abuja. DT India's Vishal Baristo caught up with the section of the Indian diaspora. Let's listen in.
I'm here in Abuja and the atmosphere is absolutely electrifying. Why? Because the Prime Minister is here. The long wait of 17 years is over. Let's talk to first the girls. They have presented a very beautiful dance, Lavani from Maharashtra. How's the feeling? The Prime Minister took a photograph with you.
We feel amazing. We feel really proud. We feel grateful to have him right in front of our eyes. It's a very garv ka moment.
And what do you have to say? You worked so hard and today was the moment.
It was a lot of preparation and hard work we put into it. So we're very thankful that he came, he watched us, he took pictures with us, and it's a great opportunity for us.
So how did you find the Prime Minister?
he was very nice, and I was very elated to see him.
What makes you so proud to be here receiving the Prime Minister?
We are so happy to receive our Prime Minister after 17 years of long wait. We can see his dynamic personality over here, and we see forward this Nigeria and India bilateral relationship going a long way forward.
So there you heard from all these people, and there is one mother with a child. So you've been waiting so long.
Yes, and it was a pleasure to see him. You know, it was our dream to see him. He's such a nice man.
They were all chanting Modi, Modi, with cameraman Mohan Mukut in Abuja. This is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
In Nigeria, Prime Minister Modi also lauded the Marathi community for being connected to its culture and roots, and when the community expressed joy on Marathi language being conferred the classical language status.
In a post on social media platform X, the Prime Minister wrote, and I quote, "In Nigeria, the Marathi community expressed joy at Marathi being conferred the status of a classical language. It's truly commendable how they remain connected to their culture and roots."
And Nigeria will also honor India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi with its award, the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger. Now, this marks the 17th international award being conferred upon Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi by any foreign nation. Prime Minister Modi will be the second foreign dignitary to receive this honor. In fact, Queen Elizabeth was the only foreign dignitary who was being awarded the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, but this was way back in 1969.
Now, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold talks with Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at Abuja. The Prime Minister and the President will review the strategic partnership between the two countries and discuss further avenues to enhance the bilateral relationship. The visit also, Sakal, aims to deepen strategic partnerships, focusing on shared values and boosting bilateral cooperation.
Absolutely. In fact, this is the first visit, as we just told our viewers, by an Indian Prime Minister to Nigeria in 17 years. So that's what is also a very significant aspect. Here's a detailed report.
नगमे खुशियां बिखर रही है, दबे पाँव से कुछ कह रही है। भारत के माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नाइजीरिया के आने पर हम आपका हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं एवं अभिनंदन करते हैं।
Hindi enthusiasts in Nigeria have shared a heartfelt video welcoming India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, marking the first visit for an Indian Prime Minister to Nigeria in 17 years and PM Modi's first visit to the West African region. Prime Minister Modi's Nigeria visit is aimed at strengthening bilateral ties between the two great democracies. In his departure statement, Prime Minister Modi said, his visit will be an opportunity to build upon strategic partnership that is based on shared belief in democracy and pluralism. PM Modi said he was eagerly looking forward to meeting the Indian community and friends from Nigeria who have sent him warm welcome messages in Hindi. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi will meet President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria. It will be their second meeting after meeting in New Delhi last year for the G20 summit. India, as the largest democracy of the world, and Nigeria, as the largest in Africa, become natural partners. In 2023, India was amongst the top 5 trading partners of Nigeria, with bilateral trade standing at $7.89 billion in 2023-2024. More than 200 Indian companies have invested about $27 billion in manufacturing sector in Nigeria. Indian companies are the second largest employers in Nigeria. India provides concession loans of $100 million for 3 power projects in Nigeria. In 2021, India supplied a consignment of 3.92 million doses of Covishield vaccines under the COVAX scheme. India also gifted 100,000 doses of Covishield vaccines to Nigeria. India donated 7.8 tons of essential medicines to Nigeria in 2020. Indian community in Nigeria stands at 60,000 and has the largest diaspora presence in West Africa. The visit gains additional significance as it comes ahead of the G20 summit in Brazil later this week.
When we had taken over the presidency of G20, our Prime Minister had invited Nigeria as a guest country, given the very strong relationship that we have with them since 1958, We actually started our relationship with Nigeria 2 years before their independence. So that is the importance that we have been giving them, which has been, and the relationship has been nurtured very well.
During the visit, Prime Minister Modi will also address the Indian community in Nigeria.
Nigeria has a very strong Indian community presence, and people from every state will be joining the community reception. There is jubilation among Indian community, and they are coming from Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, everywhere, every part of Nigeria. They will be coming on 17th to listen to the Indian Prime Minister.
With Prime Minister Modi's visit to Nigeria, both nations expect to strengthen bilateral trade and work closely on people-to-people contact. Vishal Barrister's report for DD India.
And let's go live across to Abuja, from where DD India correspondent Vishal Baristo joins us, and I believe he's also joined. He's going to be joining us with some special guests there in Abuja. Vishal, good afternoon to you. I'm going to just hand it over to you, but before that, if you could just outline for the viewers of DD India the significance of this visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Nigeria in terms of important outreach when it comes to West African nation.
Well, a very good morning to you, Sakal, and my friend Ramesh. Yes, indeed, it's a very, very important visit of Prime Minister. It's been a long wait of 70 years. And the news just coming in that Nigeria has also conferred the highest civilian award, the Commander of the Order of Niger, to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which is a great news because he is only the second person to receive this award after Queen Elizabeth. And this is certainly a great news for all of us here in India, and I'm feeling very proud about it because of the Prime Minister who makes us proud everywhere he goes. Now, when we talk about his visit is so very important because Nigeria is a very crucial partner as far as India is concerned in the African continent. In fact, Nigeria was invited as a guest nation at the G20 summit by Delhi, and also Nigeria is participating as a guest country at the G20 summit in Brazil. And Nigeria has very high hopes from India. Nigeria also respects India as the leader of the global south. So this visit definitely is going to have a great impact on both countries. Remember, we have a new regime in Nigeria. President Tinubu has just taken over the reins of the country, and we have Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has the third term in office as far as India is concerned, the largest democracy of the country. So this visit is very, very important. But before I go on and on, I would like to introduce my special guest, Mr. Venkat Subramanian. He is the General Secretary of the Pharma Association in India, and along with him is his wife. So first let me ask Mr. Subramanian, because he must be feeling very proud about what the Nigerian government, about the award that has been conferred upon the Prime Minister. Let me tell you that the pharma industry has the hold of 70% of the Nigerian market here. So let's talk to him. Mr. Subramanian, before looking into the camera, before I ask about the pharma industry, first, what is your reaction when the news just broke here in the morning that our Prime Minister has been awarded with the highest civilian Nigerian award?
You can see me, I'm feeling very proud. Getting our Prime Minister getting Nigeria's prestigious, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, which is one of the most prestigious award, which was awarded to the only Queen Elizabeth II in 1969. And I think this is the 17th award conferred on him internationally. It shows the growing presence of India's global leadership, thanks to the leadership of our beloved Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. And also it confers the historical and bilateral and strong cultural relationship between Nigeria and India, which has really taken to the great levels.
Mr. Subramanian, also let me ask you that the Indian companies, they are the second largest employer in Nigeria after the federal government. We have 200 companies here, and with the pharma sector having 70% hold on the Nigerian market. How do you feel about this visit of the Prime Minister, and in what way will it further strengthen the bilateral relations and also when we talk about the economic relations between the two countries?
The global presence of Indian pharmaceutical industry is very strong. We are always called as the pharmacy of the world. and the Indian pharmaceutical companies are doing extremely well in the Nigerian market, and particularly we also have an association called Indian Pharmaceutical Manufacturers and Importers, which I also represent as a General Secretary. In fact, this visit was something which we were waiting for, and we are expecting some major breakthroughs to come, like, talking about Indian pharmacopoeias to be appreciated, which is now being recognized globally by many people.
Well, certainly, let's talk to the lady also. As the Nigerian of the Indian origin, how proud do you feel receiving the Prime Minister? Yesterday we saw it was a rousing welcome for the Prime Minister.
Yeah. Thank you, Modi ji. It's very great and proud moment for us. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
That was quite quick and spontaneous response. Thank you, Modi ji, for coming to Nigeria, because these people have been waiting to see the Prime Minister. Let me tell you, Sakal, that there are 50,000 Nigerians here, Indians in Nigeria, and they are coming from different places. Mostly they are residing in Lagos. Ramesh?
Right, we leave it there for now, Vishal, but we'll keep coming back to you for more as we go along. Right, time to bring in our guests who are joining us on this special broadcast. Joining us in the studio is Ambassador Mahesh Sachdeva, former Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, and Dr. Abhishek Mishra, Associate Fellow, Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defence Studies and Analyses. Let me first turn to you, Ambassador Sachdeva. Now, you've served as Ambassador to Algeria and Norway, and also, like I said, a High Commissioner to Nigeria. Now, all three countries are major oil exporters. Nigeria, in fact, is the second largest oil and gas exporter and producer in Africa after Angola. You've also authored a book titled Nigeria, a Business Manual, first published in 2014. Ambassador Sachdeva, why don't you give our viewers an overview of India-Nigeria ties as they existed then and the last several years now?
I think the two countries are joined as Bollywood twins. There are so many commonalities and there's so many complementarities between them that it'll take a long time to narrate them. But basically, the two countries are quite similar. They're large. They have plenty of people. They are economically vibrant, and they are among the largest economies in the world.
Yeah.
Nigeria, for example, used to be in my time first largest economy in Africa. Now it's fallen to second, partly because of devaluation of its currency last year. India, as you know, is fifth largest economy in the world, and probably going to be third largest in next 3 years. Socially, the two countries are multi-ethnic, multi-religious societies. Democratic values are enshrined in their society, and there are commonalities in terms of institutions, in terms of legal basis. For example, what is called 420 in India is called 421 in Nigeria. So the Criminal Procedure Code and IPC were taken from India to Nigeria. The English is a common theme between the two countries. They don't feel stranger to each other. Now, in terms of complementarities, basically one can start with oil. We are the third largest importer of oil in the world. Nigeria is probably 9th largest exporter. So we used to be the largest buyer of Nigerian crude, and that used to be a main component of bilateral trade. Now we have diversified to Russia, to United States, etc. So Nigerian crude demand in India has gone down. But then other drivers are picking up. Pharmaceuticals, they need us very much there. We're the largest supplier of pharmaceuticals to Nigeria. $500 million, if I remember it right, last year. Then again, you have investments, companies. India's appropriate technology is appreciated because the conditions are very similar to what is it in Nigeria. And we can go on and on, talk about textiles and food stuff, For example, at one time Nigeria used to be the largest importer in the world for rice and also wheat and milk powder, and we were among the largest suppliers to them.
Okay, taking a cue from the major drivers that you spoke about, Ambassador Mahesh Sachdeva, let me quickly go across to Dr. Abhishek also. Having said that, you know, the complementarities that we see between India and Nigeria, India is the largest trading partner of Nigeria, Nigeria being India's largest trading partner when it comes to the African nations grouping. So, also India is the largest investment base in Nigeria. The numbers look very good. In terms of deliverables and what is really expected, Dr. Abhishek, in this particular visit in this trade and oil space, what makes this visit very significant?
Good afternoon, thank you for having me. Certainly, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's visit is very significant. Nigeria is India's one of the 6 strategic partners in the African continent. There has been, we have noticed a complementarity, a continuity in Indian and Nigerian exchanges. Dr. S. Jaishankar earlier this year in January visited Nigeria as well, which was also historic. We also have been regularly at the level of National Security Advisor. We have been having the counterterrorism and strategic dialogue as well. I believe we just had the 2nd edition. The first one we had in 2021. Trade, we have seen in terms of trade, there has been a decline due to India has been diversifying our import basket. But in terms of this visit, I think it comes at a very opportune time because of Nigeria's participation under Indian G20 presidency. We saw, and also Nigeria's participation in the recently concluded Voice of the Global South Summit.
Yes,
it was like very important in shaping the direction of both the outcomes. So we have seen, with African countries, we say that like the Indian diaspora is definitely the connecting bridge. It's a strategic asset for the Indian government. And that's certainly the case in Nigeria of the robust Indian diasporic community there, over 50,000 people. And there are about 5,000 Nigerians studying in India as well on various scholarships. So we see that this is a very, very opportune time, like in terms of expanding and cementing our bilateral ties. And in terms of what are the outcomes we are looking into. I mean, traditionally we have looked into manufacturing sector, oil, and of course pharmaceutical industry, but we are also trying to expand into new sectors like mining, for example, or space sector as well, and also maritime security as well, because Gulf of Guinea is known as a piracy hotspot. And many Indian ships also traverse through those waters. So along with the European Union, we have been doing joint patrols on the Gulf of Guinea, on the Niger Delta as well. So this visit comes at a very opportune time to cement our bilateral ties.
High Commissioner Sachdeva, if I may just put this visit in its proper context for our viewers joining us from around the world. Now, this builds on President Murmu's recent visit to 3 African countries, Algeria, Mauritania and Malawi. Now, incidentally, Algeria is the largest African country by area. Nigeria is the largest country in terms of population. Does it give you a sense that India is increasingly stepping up its engagement with Africa in general, and in this case, Nigeria?
I think so. I think that is Africa is important globally in more than one ways. Firstly, it's the only continent which has expanding population. Secondly, there's a huge infrastructure deficit, huge social and physical headwinds that it faces, which provides both opportunities as well as challenges to be met. Thirdly, it's a hotspot in many ways for Islamic fundamentalism, terrorism, and the coexistence of various ethnic groups in the Sahel region, for example. which bedevil the growth potential of this area. And let's not forget how Islamic radicalism spread from Somalia to elsewhere, and also in the North Africa or Sub-Sahel region, in Boko Haram in Nigeria, for example. All that be told, I think it is in our interest to expand the envelope of cooperation between us and the African countries. There we have so much similarity, so much of goodwill that we need to build upon and create win-win opportunities for growth.
Yes. Talking about goodwill, Dr. Abhishek, now diaspora element is also extremely significant, especially when we talk about the gamut of relationship that India has shared with Nigeria in the last many decades. Now, one of the largest in West Africa, that's the Indian diaspora. They are shining bright, around 50 to 60,000 strong Indian diaspora, and they really contribute to the Nigerian economy. And we've also talked about the people-to-people contact, which has been very enduring over the last many years. But this visit of Prime Minister Modi, the way we've seen, like always in any foreign land, Indian diaspora according such a massive grand welcome. How do you see this multiplying, the whole diaspora element, India and Nigeria? Abhishek.
Yeah. I mean, Indian diaspora in Nigeria, they are basically the second largest employer after the federal government in Nigeria. So Indian companies are. So there has been many generations of Nigerians who are right now in their 40s to 50s to 60s. They have been most of them have been taught by Indian teachers, or they have been treated by Indian doctors, or they have grown up watching Bollywood Indian movies as well. So the connect is very strong. It's very strong. The business community is very vibrant. We are in like the small and medium SME sectors there. We're trying to expand into other sectors, and in terms of the thing is, it's not just the diaspora engagement is going strong. At the same time, we are trying to look at particularly like the defense sector as well.
Yes.
It's also very important because as we know, under our Make in India program, we are trying to look into the African market for Indian defense exports. There has been interest shown by Nigeria to acquire LCA Tejas and also the light combat helicopter as well. And we also actually signed a $1 billion deal back in September 2023 with Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, DCOT.
Right.
So it's not just, we are just only talking, we are putting the money also on the table, and our recently also a 33-member delegation also visited Nigeria as well in terms of look at opportunity. So both the engagements are going strong, not just diaspora but also defense and
security, considering Nigeria is grappling with their own set of security challenges. We're going to talk about that as well, but Abhishek and Ambassador Sachdeva, please stay with us. We've got some more stories coming up. Ramesh?
Indeed. Now, earlier, DD India's Vishal Barrister caught up with the Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, G. Balasubramanian, in Abuja to find out more about the significance of Prime Minister Modi's two-day visit to the West African country.
India is the pharmacy of the world, and Indian pharmaceutical products are very popular over here, both because of its affordability and because of its efficacy. Indian companies have invested more than $4 billion in Nigeria alone in manufacturing pharmaceutical products in the country. We had a defense team come over here, defense manufacturers team come over here in the month of March. They had participated in an exhibition. They had identified certain areas in which they are working together. We have also offered some lines of credit in terms of purchase of some of our platforms. So these are things which are ongoing, and I'm sure will fructify in the near future. We have already supplied close to about $280 million worth of various equipments, including simulators, ammunition, and so on and so forth. And Indian products are looked very favorably in Nigeria. Indian companies have been present here for many decades. More than 200 Indian companies have invested $27 billion into the Nigerian economy. We, meaning the Indian companies, are the second largest employers of Nigerians after the federal government of Nigeria. Nigeria had been one of our largest oil suppliers. We used to buy nearly about $10 billion of oil, which because of various geopolitical reasons, there's a small change in that. So this is a two-way relationship that we are having, and I'm sure energy is something in which both the countries wish to cooperate and continue to further consolidate. It will only further grow.
And also, Indian companies are the second largest employer in Nigeria after the federal government, and more than 200 Indian companies, in fact, have also invested over the $27 billion in important and critical sectors in Nigeria. The two countries also share a very strong development cooperation partnership. The Nigerian president visited India last year, remember, for the G20 summit in September. In fact, my colleague Vishal also spoke to an Indian hotelier who has a chain of restaurants across Nigeria. Let's listen.
I'm in Abuja, the capital city of Nigeria, and there's a very strong connection between Nigeria and India, and it is called the curry connection. How? Let's find out. How did the journey start, and how do you feel that you have given employment to so many people here?
As a passion, we started our restaurant over here. In the last decade, we have started totally around 23 restaurants across Nigeria. We have totally 900 Nigerian staffs working with us, and also another 60 expatriates are there with us.
Let's talk to the staff. What's your name?
My name is Ernest Simeon.
Samuel, how long have you been with this company?
I've been here for almost a year.
Almost a year. How has been your experience?
My experience has been really wonderful. It's a wonderful company, and the opportunities which the company has given to its people and the way the company treats itself is a wonderful experience.
I have some Indians here. They are enjoying the food. Let's talk to them and find out. What's your name?
Shri Ram.
Shri Ram. Okay. Shri Ram, what is so special about the food here?
Food is amazing. I mean, it's taste of back home in India. So when you're so far away, 10,000 kilometers away from home, and you long for home food, Cilantro is the place to be.
From back home from India, we are in Nigeria having our home food. We feel at home, the food is amazing.
So there you heard from the lady, she is not the only one. There are many Indians and especially the Nigerians who enjoy the food here. But the important thing is that this man is not only minting money, yes, of course he is, but he's also giving employment to the local Nigerians and helping in the economy of the country. With cameraman Mukut Sharma in Abuja, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
Right, we still have with us our guests, High Commissioner Sachdev and Dr. Abhishek Mishra. High Commissioner Sachdev, we discussed about the political aspects, the economic aspects of the bilateral relationship. If you could also talk a bit about connectivity. Now, we're given to understand that there are no direct flights between India and Nigeria as of this moment. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are no Indian banks presently operating in Nigeria.
That's true. I think these are the kind of handicaps which make trading and economic exchanges more expensive. People contact become slightly more difficult because people have to travel through third countries. Banking relations need to be engaged through a third country bank, and that raises the cost. So all that told, I think it's a tribute to the resilience and persistence of Indian exporters, Indian traders, and Indian service providers that they have overcome these handicaps and have still made India a big power in Nigeria in their own way. Now, to help them, it'll be good if Prime Minister's visit yields these kind of initiatives, having an Indian bank there, having direct flights from India to Nigeria, and having direct maritime link would be a priority. I think it'll raise our profile. It'll also lower the cost of exporting, make us more competitive in services such as education, healthcare, etc., where people have to travel a lot.
Abhishek, we're given to understand that Indian firms in Nigeria are in diverse fields. You talk about pharmaceuticals, you talk about hoteliering, engineering goods, electric, machinery, etc., communications, telecom. What makes this visit of Indian Prime Minister more important from the Nigerian perspective, given the kind of collaborations that we already have in place, like in education sector? There's a huge chunk of Nigerian students that come to India every year, so on and so forth. For them, this is also very important. If you could just press your unmute your system. Yeah,
absolutely. Not just from the Indian side, but from the Nigerian side as well. This visit is crucial, particularly because what India offers is a very unique developmental model. India and Nigeria, we share similar developmental challenges, as we know. What we offer is a developmental model with whom they can relate with, unlike some other Southeast Asian kind of countries, etc., whatever they offer, which we can understand. So from their perspective as well, in terms of the problems that's happening currently in the Sahel region, I mean, India has some experience regarding that, in terms of mediating as well, if we want to do it. So not just from an Indian perspective, the message is very clear that Africa is rising, and India is actually betting on Africa's rise as well.
And from African perspective?
And from an African perspective as well, India, as we know, of course, they will want to try to get the most out of what India offers, or what a country like China also offer. But what we offer is something very unique. We have a similar language, we have share same developmental challenges. So this visit, comes at a very opportune time where we can consolidate our ties further.
Indeed. High Commissioner Sachdev, Dr. Mishra referred to China. That gives me a perfect segue to my next question to you, High Commissioner Sachdev. We see and read a lot about a competition or a contestation between various extra-regional players on the African continent, in this case China. How do you see the relationship developing between India and Africa as compared to, say, Africa's ties with China as they exist now and going forward as well?
I think likes have to be compared with likes. Chinese model is very different from Indian model, and as Abhishek said, we are better fit for Africa, partly because the economic and social conditions are very similar. Chinese have gone on a scale binge, 10,000 tailors sewing shirts under the same shed. This would not be possible in Africa normally, because there is no power, there is ethnic diversity, and there are other logistical challenges, for example. So Indian small scale industry, medium scale industry model would fit better in terms of diversification, in terms of technology, and in terms of market conditions. Once again, Indians, as you yourself put on the screen, Indians employ a lot of locals, while Chinese almost never do. They bring everyone from China, and that creates a certain amount of distance between Chinese and the locals. Once again, there you also have in terms of durability of products produced, quality, and appreciation. I think we are a bit ahead. Then there are areas where Chinese can't match us: healthcare, IT, education, management are the forts that we have, and thanks to use of English, Indians have better understanding of Nigeria and vice versa, so that helps. Culturally too, soft power of India is paramount. Right. We Indians have been there for nearly 125 years, and Indians are well regarded institutionally too. Our standards, our ways of conducting ourselves politically and socially are appreciated as a role model, and very often compared with their own benchmarks, etc. So all that told puts us in a different category.
Right, right.
Sorry, Seko, just to put this, just an anecdote to share here. Both our guests contrasted India's ties with Africa with that of China.
Yeah.
Now, they say that, as the saying goes, China gives the Africans the fish, but India, in contrast, teaches the Africans how to fish. That's more sustainable in the long term.
Yes. So, having said that, Abhishek, if you just take a cue from what Ramesh, my colleague, just said, that India is the best fit, and what all India under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi brings to the table in the sense that the big picture that we see, the messaging that Indian Prime Minister choosing Nigeria, and we will see finally at the end of the visit, if at all there are any MOUs, and how this relationship will move on to level next. This in terms of India leading the global South forefront, India choosing Nigeria, and Nigeria also choosing to honor Indian Prime Minister with one of their prestigious awards. So what is the message that goes across?
The message is simple and clear. Nigeria is not just the most populous country in the African continent, it's also the second largest power. And we both are, and along with India, we both are federal democracies. We have had a long, rich tradition, rich history. Diaspora engagement is strong. And particularly, the visit assumes more significance, especially after the fact that under the Indian presidency, the African Union got inducted into the G20.
Exactly,
So now it's a G21, which was a very big win for India, a diplomatic win for India. Now, in terms of the new areas, certainly in terms of customs union agreement, in terms of our JAM Trinity as well, digital partnership, though settling trade in local currencies, and as Ambassador Sachdeva mentioned, that connectivity, we need direct connectivity. In terms of contrasting about the other, not just China or any other country's engagement, the Indian engagement with any country, not just in Africa, not just with Nigeria, we often get compared to our neighbor up north. But that, I think, completely defeats the purpose, because in my belief, India's actions in Africa, in any country, is not informed by the actions of any other third power. They bring their own set of capabilities to the table, which the Africans appreciate. We also do the same. We have our own comparative advantages in terms of human resource development, pharmaceutical manufacturing, etc., and also increasingly more and more defense sector as well. So our actions are not guided by what any third country in Africa is doing. We are focusing on our own advantages, and this visit by Sri Narendra Modi will only further consolidate our ties.
Indeed, High Commissioner Sachdeva, as Dr. Mishra was pointing out, India's ties with Africa stand on its own legs, so to speak. But there was a time when India did not have too many embassies or high commissions on the African continent as a whole. But today we are given to understand India as an embassy or high commission virtually in all the 53 countries are represented. So do you think that's a big step forward in terms of India's outreach to the larger African continent?
I think it is. And a beginning has been made by being physically there. When I was High Commissioner to Nigeria, I had to also concurrently handle Chad, Cameroon and Benin. The ambassador, the High Commissioner before me had 2 other countries as well. So given Nigeria being largest population in Africa, and relatively small size of our establishments in these countries, it was difficult to peel away attention and go to Chad or Cameroon or to Benin. So now that we have a separate embassy in Chad and separate embassy in Cameroon, I think they would be able to pay more attention to this bilateralism. Again, being physically there has no substitute. All that needs to be done is to fortify the small outposts that we have created in the name of embassy, sometimes they are very rudimentary. It will in due course become bigger, and the work would expand. And I think we need to look forward to it. We also should make better use of our diaspora.
Okay.
Nigeria, from the Nigerian perspective, as Ms. Bhatt had asked, we are the largest non-African community in that country.
Right. And major drivers of their economy, so to say.
Exactly.
Yes.
But there's no other non-African ethnicity in Nigeria larger than Indians. And they are quite rich. They come in various sizes. Some of them went to Nigeria 125 years ago. Some of them are latecomers. Most of them are experts or professionals, chartered accountant, teachers, engineers, etc. There are no manual workers from India, unlike Gulf in Nigeria.
Okay.
So Indians are rather well regarded. They are even regarded as affluent. And I think the symbolism that creates is that here is a small, low-key community in absolute numbers, but relative to Nigeria's population, 50,000 out of 22 crores is not a very big number. But they have
significant presence and contribution.
And they have in their own way created prosperity in Nigeria for themselves as well as for the Nigerians. So this is replicated in many countries, including those where English is not spoken, which are not part of the Commonwealth. For example, Chad or Cameroon or Benin are French-speaking countries. But they have pockets of Indians which have assimilated themselves pretty well, speak local language, and create synergies. Now, I should say that Prime Minister, being such a savvy person when it comes to connecting to diaspora, would be a great persuader that those Indians who have the capacity to contribute to making a solid bridge between India and Nigeria, for example, are able to contribute.
So, sir, since you've been there, you've served in these nations, and the whole diaspora dimension under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the way it's, your thoughts on it, it's very interesting to understand how this whole social, soft, people-to-people connect, the diaspora dimension has added so much of depth to the already existing diplomatic ties to the major economies and otherwise also.
I think it's...
And I think we are now, we will take the dance a little later. Let's quickly go live across to Abuja. Live visuals on your screen. Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, being accorded ceremonial reception, ceremonial welcome, special welcome at the presidential villa.
मोदी का आगमन यहाँ उनका औपचारिक स्वागत किया जाएगा। ये दृश्य आप सीधे देख रहे हैं प्रेसिडेंशियल विला से।
Right, so if you're just joining us, we're getting you these live visuals of the ceremonial welcome accorded by the President of Nigeria to India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
May I have your permission to march off the colors and the rest of praise, Your Excellency?
मोदी का